Hello everyone and welcome to the Transit Nomad family. In this video we are going to continue enjoying public transit rides in Bucharest, Romania in 2025 with the goal of riding an older Icarus trolleybus if we are lucky to catch one. Before we get started, I'd like to let you know that I'm in Bucharest for a couple of weeks, and at the end of my trip I'll be recording my final verdict video comparing Bucharest with other cities to help you decide if you should visit, while also saving you lots of time and money with practical tips on how to get the most out of your trip. This will be an exclusive video, but you can easily gain access to it by subscribing or donating any amount on buymeacoffee.com/transitnomad or using the link in the video description below. With that being said, as I mentioned earlier, our goal is to catch an older Icarus trolleybus that was manufactured in the late 90s, which makes it almost 30 years old right now. I don't know how many of them they have left running on city streets. I don't think it's a lot, because the vast majority of trolleybuses I see so far are new. I did see a couple of old ones yesterday, and I was hoping that I might be lucky to catch one on this street, because it has a lot of different lines running here, and that is exactly where I saw the old ones. So I just keep looking in both directions to see if there are any old trolleybuses approaching, and then when I see one, I'm hoping to catch it if I'm lucky. It is challenging to catch transit vehicles this way, but I have not been able to find any other way to track vehicles by model names. They do have an app like that in Sofia, Bulgaria, which made it super easy to catch old trolleybuses, old trams, old buses, because you can type in the specific model name or the brand name, and it's gonna show you exactly where it is located and then which line it's running on, and you can just walk over to the stop and catch it. But in this case, you have to do it the old school way, basically just standing in the street and hoping that it comes along. We don't know. I have no idea. This is just this video basically shows you what it's like if you are a transit lover, if you want to catch something. This is what it's like in reality. Oftentimes we have to just wait and see what happens, and actually I don't mind waiting, because you can see a lot of different kinds of trolleybuses passing through, and the views on this street are pretty cool. It definitely has an atmosphere. I like the vibes. Some buildings look pretty impressive, like check out that one over there. It's pretty cool. So I cannot say that I'm really having a bad time. I'm having a great time waiting here. I just have to keep looking in both directions to make sure I don't miss it, and we'll see if we get lucky or not. They do have some apps for public transportation. The official app is supposed to show you the locations of transit vehicles, but just transit vehicles, not model names. But even just transit vehicles, whatever is running on every specific line, it doesn't work. I was not able to get it to work. It did work sometimes in Google Maps, but only for the specific line that you tap on, which is not as helpful, and also you cannot search by model names. I did download another, it's not an app, it's just a website that I saved, and it did give me some information about, that was way better than Google Maps and their official city transit app. Basically you can find live location of vehicles on every line that you choose, and it has like a map, so it's a little bit easier to navigate, but it still does not show the model names. It shows some other information, but not the model names. So I could not use that website, that tool, for catching the older trolleybus. So basically I don't see any other way other than just standing here and waiting and seeing if I get lucky before I get hungry. Also, just because they have mostly new trolleybuses, it does not mean that their public transportation system is great. I've had a lot of issues, as you may already know from my older videos, my other videos about Bucharest. It's not easy to buy transit passes. You have to basically, the only way is to find a ticket booth that sells it for visitors. You cannot download the app unless you are Romanian, and also you cannot pay with text messaging unless you have a Romanian phone number. And also you may or may not be able to pay with your credit card inside the vehicle, because some of the validating machines, they do not work. And if you get caught without paid fare, then you might get fined. They may or may not care that the machine is not working. So basically you need to buy their local card that looks like this, and then load your pass onto that card. And in order to buy that card, you have to use a vending machine or buy it at the ticket booth. As you can see right now, we are standing on the street with a lot of different trolleybuses running, and there is no vending machine and there is no ticket booth. And when I was at the train station, the major train station, 2 of the vending machines did not work, and those are the only 2 I was able to find. And the ticket booth had a huge line with lots of people waiting, so I was trying to pay with my credit card inside, and it did not work. And then a fare inspector showed up, and fortunately they let me go because other passengers were trying to protect me and telling them that I've been trying to pay the whole time, but the machine was not working. It kept rebooting. But it was a stressful experience, as you can imagine. And the next day I went out of my Airbnb and started looking for vending machines. I couldn't find any, and I did get lucky finding a ticket booth. It was just like randomly standing in the street. So I got lucky and I was able to buy my passes over there using Google Translation, because the person did not speak English, and I had to have a conversation with them about the specific passes I had to buy, because it was for multiple people for different dates. But we figured it all out. She was very helpful, and we used Google Translate, and finally I got my passes. So now I can ride transit as much as I want, without having to worry about anything working, not working. I have my unlimited pass, and I'm very happy about that. But it's not as easy as it is in other cities. Basically, out of all the cities I visited in the past, in the recent past, in the last couple of years, this is as difficult as it gets. The only thing worse would be either getting fined or not being able to buy it at all. But you have to go through some effort, but you can still buy it. It's not as easy as it should be, but you can still get it done. So it's definitely not 1 out of 10. Maybe it's like 3 out of 10 or something like that. And also their frequencies are terrible compared to Sofia, Bulgaria, or other cities I visited in Europe earlier this year. You have to wait for a long time, and the stops, they do not have any information with estimated arrival times. You can see, I'm gonna zoom it in and show you what the stops look like. Basically, it's just a sign with the numbers that are stopping here, the route numbers. Other than that, there's no information whatsoever. And you just have to wait and see when it comes. I've had to wait for over 20 minutes a couple of times. I think it's a little bit longer than it should be for a city like this, especially if it wants to attract people to use transportation, for using public transportation as opposed to driving. So I think they could do a much better job. Maybe they just don't have the funds. Maybe it's something else. If you know what the reason is, let me know, because I don't think that Bulgaria is much richer than Romania, but they have a great public transportation system, really one of the best in Europe. The frequencies are very high. You don't have to wait. Each stop has digital signs with estimated bus arrival times, and you don't have to wait. Even if you don't look at those signs, everything is very frequent. And it also displays the information with the upcoming stops, and it's easy to get around. It's easy to pay for it. There is fare capping, so if you pay with your credit card, if you tap it more than twice, you won't be charged anymore. And basically for about $2 and some change, you can ride unlimited for the entire day. Here in Romania, if you want to pay with your credit card, if you take bus 10 times in a day, you still have to pay 10 times. It's not gonna stop charging you after a certain number of rides. So a lot of disadvantages when it comes to public transportation here in Bucharest. And also some of the vehicles are really worn down. They do have a lot of older vehicles in Bulgaria, but it feels like they take care of them a little bit better in Bulgaria. So good job for Bulgarians. I really admire their ability to take care of their transit vehicles and offer such a great transit experience to both locals and visitors. I keep looking in both directions. These are probably from the maybe 2005 or something like that. Also not that new, but definitely not as old as I was hoping to catch. And this is made by Iveco, which I believe makes it Italian, if I'm not mistaken. And that one is about the same. Or is it different? Astra. But it does look about the same. If you know anything about these transit vehicles, feel free to share a comment below and let me know. I'm curious to know. Yeah, in the back it says Iveco. Somebody crazy is yelling something. I've seen that in Bulgaria too. I've seen that in Romania. I've seen that in Belgium. I've seen that in London. And of course I've seen that in the United States. But not as much in Asia. Something to keep in mind. Not as much in Asia. Let's walk a little bit over there so that we don't have to stand in the same place. Because he kept walking that way, so I figured maybe it's better if we go this way. I don't know if my math is correct, but it's been maybe about 15 minutes, and in both directions we've seen maybe 15 trolley buses or something like that, between 10 and 15, and so far nothing that comes close to the old ones that we are looking for. Nice speed, pretty fast. Definitely enjoyed that speed. I did not really set a time limit on how long I'm gonna wait. But I guess if nothing comes, I'm talking about if Bucharest doesn't show up, then maybe we just try to ride the Iveco. Better than nothing. The architecture is definitely impressive. I like these buildings. Very good job with building them. That one, the gray one, is so-so, but a lot of the buildings like this are very, very impressive to look at. They call Bucharest Little Paris because it's a lot of the buildings look a little bit like they're French style, and when you are walking on some streets, you might feel like you're in Paris. I've been to Paris a couple of times, and I spent a considerable amount of time there, and I do see some similarities. I'm not a huge fan of Paris. I think it's just not a very comfortable city overall. It's overpacked with tourists, and it's not very clean. It's not very comfortable, not very safe. So it's not my favorite city. Also, their public transit system has a lot of problems, and overall, it's just not the nicest experience, not the best travel experience. It would not be on my list of top destinations. I do think it's a little bit overrated, and it's not cheap either. But Bucharest, you can get similar vibes for sure, and also you don't have to share your space with as many tourists, and everything costs maybe half or even 1/3 of what it would cost in Paris. So maybe Bucharest would be a better destination. Another Iveco. It's interesting. It says Astrabus on the front and Iveco on the back. I'm not sure if that is like a collaboration or something like that. I need to look it up. "20 minutes of waiting and no older trolley buses in any direction." So should we ride one of the newer ones? At least have a little ride, better than nothing, or should we keep waiting? That is the big question that I'm asking myself right now. We should definitely go for a ride, even if it's not as scenic. good to go for a ride. No doubt about that. After all, transit is transit. It's always fun. This looks like a newer bus. Probably electric. And by the way, this video shows you a little bit about the frequencies because there are so many routes running here. I'm gonna go to the stop and show you all the routes that are stopping here. 61, 66, 69, 70, 85, and 90. So if you add up all these routes, you can see the frequencies are not really that great, even during daytime. So considering that it's been about 20 minutes, maybe we should just go ahead and ride the older one. I mean the newer one. Especially if it has space, why not? Yeah, it's like almost empty, so I guess it works for us. And we can get this awesome seat at the front. That speed, the speed is pretty good, and it's nice to have this seat. A lot of the transit vehicles are crowded in this city, so we are lucky to have this seat. Also, we are riding through the historic city center, both on the left and the right. There are beautiful buildings and beautiful areas to explore. My partner and I already did a lot of walking around, and we really enjoyed the architecture in this area. The good part about this trolley bus is that it's air conditioned, so it's comfortable on a hot day like this. And it's interesting to check out what Poland is manufacturing right now. This is a newer Polish trolley bus. I can see that it's Solaris and it's made in Poland. And I noticed that a lot of cities are buying them because they are more affordable than what the competitors are offering. So they are selling their buses and trolley buses basically all over Europe. Good job. Does look like a scenic street. Definitely beautiful, right? Also, I noticed how this trolley bus is quiet. It's really quiet compared to the older models. And it has this information screen over here, so you can see the stops that are upcoming. Also, lines where you can transfer, as well as the current time. And air conditioning is working well. Definitely better than in London about air conditioning, not about the frequencies. It's nice that the color of the seats, green, matches the color of the exterior, green, and it's also a nice color choice. I think it looks way better than white. Our driver is pretty good, pretty fast. I can see some trams in the distance. Like they are doing some maintenance. I'm gonna go around that big truck. They just gave the driver the signal that it's okay to go through. We've been riding for a while and we did not see any older Icarus trolleybuses going in the opposite direction. Maybe they use them only during peak hours, because right now it's midday, and maybe that's why. That's why they're not being used right now. Or maybe we just didn't get selected. this point of the video, I would like to remind you that at the end of my trip, at the end of my stay in Bucharest and Romania, I'll be making my final verdict video comparing Bucharest and Romania with other cities and other countries to help you decide if you should visit, while also saving you lots of time and money with practical tips on how to get the most out of your trip. This will be an exclusive video, but you can easily gain access to it by subscribing or donating any amount on buymeacoffee.com/transitnomad or through the link in the video description below. That these Polish trolleybuses can go a fairly substantial distance without electricity, without wires. They can also be used on routes that do not have the wires. I think it was about 20 kilometers or something like that. So that's pretty cool. Which makes it like half trolleybus, half bus. I mean electric bus. everything very professionally, precisely, exactly. You know what time you're gonna get where, and those displays, they work like Swiss watches, very good quality, and you know exactly what to expect. But of course, the price for riding public transportation in Switzerland for one day is equal to riding public transportation in Bucharest for over 1 week. Actually, it's a big, huge difference, about 10 times difference. So I think that is part of it. But also the cost of labor here is cheaper, the cost of living is cheaper, so I think some improvements could definitely be made. I'm actually thinking to get off at this hub because I want to ride those trams too. And it looked like we still have a long way to go until the last stop. I know it was like a lot of waiting, but I hope that the ride was still worth it. It was pretty scenic in the city center. I really enjoyed it. The driver also was friendly. He smiled at me when I was filming. He knows I'm excited about the trolleybus. Some drivers, they know that some people love transit, and some drivers, they don't. And let's take a look at those trams over there. Now the blue one looks like a regular bus, maybe an electric bus. Turkish, I believe, Otokar, I think that is Turkish. And you can see a newer tram just passing through in the distance. I'm not sure exactly what neighborhood we are in right now because I cannot use my map because I'm filming this video, but that's part of the adventure, just exploring and checking out different places, different routes. I do feel that we should be going in that direction because we came from over there where this trolleybus is coming from. That's where we came from, and that way is the city center. So I think it would make more sense to go over there because that is where, closer to where we are staying. I did not have my breakfast yet because it gets so hot in this city that I've decided to sacrifice my morning work routine and my morning breakfast and just go out right away so that I could enjoy the city a little bit before it's too hot. So I've been out for a few hours and it's been like a fasting experience, which is also, I know it's good for your health, so I'm not complaining. But then my plan is to get some work done and have a couple of meals at home, and then go out again when it's closer to sunset time, because during the day the heat is crazy over here. It really gets hot. Especially for me, it's a challenge because I like to ride older transit vehicles, and a lot of them don't have air conditioning. So this trolleybus ride was like a piece of cake. You can see very wide roads. A lot of people are driving here. And by the way, just to give you a heads up, my phone might overheat because it is really hot outside. We might be in the sun. If the video interrupts, that's because the phone shut down the camera. It needs to cool down in hot weather, unfortunately. Especially when I'm filming the front and back, I noticed that maybe it requires a little bit more processing power. Or if I'm filming in 4K, that also causes it to overheat faster. And as you can see, they do have these things where you can kind of hide from the sun, but it's not always effective. And here they have line number 10, 135, 311, 330. Okay, that's good to know. I believe the 10 is the circular line that kind of goes around the city in one direction, and then number 1 is a circular line that goes kind of in the opposite direction. So those lines have been on my to-do list as well. Let's see how long it takes to wait for that, because so far I've had to wait for extended amounts of time a few times. It's not as frequent as I was hoping it would be, especially for a big city like this, and considering it's Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe is usually famous for frequent transit and good transit, but Bucharest can definitely use a lot of improvements. I'm thinking to even record like a separate video about public transportation in Bucharest and what improvements can be made to make things better. But it's still interesting to see the buses running on tram tracks. Everybody's trying to hide from the sun. Maybe I should do that too. Yeah, now I'm nicely hidden from the sun. Not exactly sure what the difference is between the green buses and the blue buses. I always like different colors, so no complaints, but maybe it also means something. If you know, feel free to leave a comment below and let me know as well. Line number 135. This looks like a Turkish bus. In general, I've noticed a pretty crazy variety of different kinds of buses here. Some cities they just order like 1 or 2 types, but in this case they have a little bit of everything. Lots of different vehicles by different manufacturers. Iveco, Mercedes, Turkish ones, and others that I don't even know. Pretty cool. I see an articulated bus in the distance. Not a lot of articulated buses here in Bucharest, so it's nice to see one. I did notice a lot of articulated buses in Sofia, and even in the middle of nowhere, like in the areas that are not as densely populated, they still run articulated buses, which I really appreciate, because I think they are trying to make sure everyone has enough space, everyone feels comfortable. If it does get busy, everyone can still find a seat. I think it goes a long way. I appreciate that level of service. I'm gonna keep talking good things about Sofia's public transportation probably for as long as I keep running this channel. I was very impressed. And it's not just a day or two. I spent a couple of weeks there, so I did ride it a lot. And I was very, very impressed. I was not expecting such a great quality of service. It's always interesting how some cities are above your expectations. Your experience ends up being really awesome, and sometimes it's the opposite. You're expecting something better and it's not as good in the end. It's interesting how that changes from one city to another. I wish there was a sign telling us how long it's gonna take to wait for the tram, but there's no information whatsoever. I do see a tram coming, and it looks like a newer tram, air-conditioned tram. Seems like this is gonna be the video conclusion for today. We are trying to catch old vehicles, but we keep catching new vehicles. Sometimes when you try something really hard, you get the opposite result. But usually when you try something really hard, if you work hard, you can achieve what you want. I'm pretty sure I'll catch those older trolley buses and older trams, just not in this video. You can see it's also kind of busy. Lots of people on board. You see the cameras for safety. It's something I've seen in a lot of Bulgarian transit vehicles, but not a lot of Bucharest transit vehicles have cameras. And I don't see any available seats at all. The air conditioning is working well on the train. It's pretty comfortable. can see the traffic lights are taking a while. It looks like there's no transit signal priority for trams in Bucharest. So we have to wait at big intersections together with cars. this note, I would like to thank everyone for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. I appreciate you being a part of the Transit Nomad family and look forward to seeing you on the channel in the future. Thanks again. Bye bye.